Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with our trek today. Thank you all for joining. I'm very excited to be here today. Today we're going to be featuring Menards and the trek is hosted today by UW Eau Claire. My name is Alyssa Slobby. I am a career counselor in the Advising Retention and Career Center at UW Eau Claire, and I'm excited to welcome you here today. For those who might be joining us for the first time, I wanted to share a little bit of information about the Career Trek program. So the Career Services offices across the UW system collaborated to provide 13 weeks of virtual career treks in the fall, and we're going to provide them again in the spring. Each trek is hosted by one UW school every Wednesday at 2 p.m. The goal of the Career Treks program is to provide students with the opportunity to connect with employers and to learn a little bit more about career industries. Next week's Career Trek will feature Phillips Menards and will be hosted by UW Stout. Before we get started with the program today, I want to share some thank yous. So first of all, I want to give a huge shout out to Haley Carr from UW Superior for being awesome and providing us all of the technology support for our career checks this semester. I'd also like to extend a thank you to the Career Trek Committee for organizing and planning all of this year's events. And then lastly, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Jeremy and the Menards team today for sharing their time and expertise with us. So for all the students who are joining our Career Trek, if you have not yet, please complete the registration form that is located in the chat feature of Zoom. This will allow us to track attendees and share that information with each of your universities. If you have any questions throughout the Career Trek today, please add them to the chat feature. We will get to them at the Q&A portion of today's event. And we are recording today's event. So if for some reason you miss a piece of today's event or want to refer back to something that was mentioned throughout the trek today, please note that it will be available on the Career Trek's website within the next week. So without further ado, I would like to turn the Career Trek over to Jeremy and the Menards team.
Thank you, Alyssa. Welcome all to the UW Eau Claire and Menards Career Treks. More technically, this is the Menard Inc. event because we'll be talking about a few of our divisions today, one of which does not fall under the Menards branding, but rather is a division of ours called Midwest Manufacturing. We're going to learn more about them and all of our opportunities that are available to you through our great company. First, going to start with some introductions. My name is Jeremy Gergel, Senior Site Manager for our distribution centers. I wanted to participate in this presentation today to share my views of the company that I work for and to share my story. I started working for Menards part-time 28 years ago. I was going to college at UW Eau Claire. I ended up loving it so much that I never left. Now, I'm not going to tell you I've loved every day over the last 28 years, but I will tell you I've really enjoyed my time here on the whole. And my story has played out hundreds of times throughout our company, including with our two other Menards team today. Same type of story with them. Hannah Defoe, she is with us today. She's our Human Resources Coordinator for one of our Eau Claire distribution centers. Not only is she knowledgeable in all things HR related and an all-around question answering guru, but she also happens to have graduated from UW Eau Claire. Also with us is Nick Gronimus. He's a department manager at one of our DCs here in Eau Claire. Nick previously worked on the store side for us, running the outside yard shipping and receiving department for them. Big job, lots of travel. He's going to be a big help with our Q&A session at the end as well. And sticking with the theme, he also worked for us part-time before graduating from UW Eau Claire. In fact, he worked for the distribution center part-time before moving on to the store division. So I promise we have a really diverse group of managers that work for us, but after all, this is the UW Eau Claire hosted Career Treks. So everyone on this call from our side is a UW Eau Claire student, former student. Menards is headquartered in scenic Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and would technically be defined as a big box home improvement retail store. However, our stores have anything but a big box feel, and rather than a warehouse style layout, they're open, well lit. They have wide aisles that are more akin to a supermarket or hometown hardware store feel. That part of our story, many of you guys in the Midwest probably know. Maybe you already have a predefined notion of what we are, but I'm here today to refine that notion and maybe surprise you with a little bit of what you don't know, and also provide some possibilities for those of you that wish to step into a career that truly offers growth potential. I can't stress enough how much growth and opportunity we have within our company. So we'll get into that a bit more. We're going to discuss career opportunities that we afford college students and recent graduates. Yes, Menards is a very large company. We employ over 67,000 team members across the Midwest. We have jobs employing people in fields as diverse as real estate, legal counsel, financial positions, something that not a lot of companies can say, even pilots. A company this big, we have a lot of different jobs. But as you can tell from our bio on our website, we're very rooted in the Midwest. We have a blue collar attitude and a folksy down home approach. Menards is a privately held and family owned company. We're family owned and still operated. We're also a cash rich company with no debt load. Why is that pertinent to this conversation? Well, without all the red tape of deciding what's best for our stockholders, we can be very agile and decide what's best for the company, and then we can act on those decisions quickly. We choose when the time is right to grow versus when to sit tight. And as a leader within this company, your decisions matter, and Menards has proven to be willing to spend money to make money. In fact, we're far more progressive than most of you probably realize. When you think of Menards, you think of our stores generally. Well, most do not realize that our manufacturing facilities and distribution centers are full of automation and robotics. Also, not often noticed is the fact that we have a whole fleet of clean, compressed natural gas vehicles that deliver freight to our stores instead of diesel trucks. One thing I do want to emphasize is that Menards has been in a constant period of growth from our beginning. Even during downturns and crises, Menards has continued to expand. So this means lots of opportunities for those that are willing to put in the effort to succeed. And as we shall see, Menards promotes from within, which is good news. In fact, it's great news for those who choose to start with us in entry-level positions. In order to move up within our organization, all it takes is you showing us that you're willing to work hard and that you have the aptitude to handle more responsibility. So in other words, your growth is determined by you and the results you produce, not things like your longevity with us. Go through a little bit of company history. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but Menards' beginnings go back to 1958 as a pole building business while our founder and owner was attending college at, you guessed it, UW Eau Claire. He grew the business into a cash and carry outlet as he saw a need that customers had for building materials. We added warehousing and manufacturing functionality in 1969. Although I'll guarantee you it didn't look anything like the automated facilities that you are going to get a peek into today. And we have about 325 stores across 15 states centered around the Midwest. In fact, we opened our first West Virginia store this week. We have manufacturing and distribution facilities in 17 different cities across that same regional sprawl, with 2 more that are currently in the works. So again, when I say a growth pattern, definitely the case. A couple more distribution and manufacturing facilities are being built right now. These days, companies like to talk about their culture. Every company has a certain feel to it. In my mind, culture is not something defined by words or a mission statement so much as it can be felt by its employees. As a family-owned company, we at Menards operate by a set of values that all our managers are measured by. These values are posted in every office and conference room, and they guide feedback for our management team as those managers are evaluated yearly. These are characteristics that we've deemed important for our leaders to exhibit. What we'll talk about today is going to apply across all these divisions of Menard Inc. Our store division consists of all our associates that work on the retail side of the business, both in the stores themselves and in store operations back at the general office. Again, this is what most of you are going to think of when you think about Menards. It's open to the public. That's what you can see. Our corporate division would be a lot of the other support groups, one of the larger ones being the merchandising department. That consists of our buyers and analysts that purchase what goes into our stores, and they also determine how to flow that product to the stores. Our distribution centers employ over 3,500 people in the fields of material handling, and they get into some of the cool automation that you're going to see here today. Menards is a vertically integrated company, and that's where Midwest Manufacturing comes in. They make a lot of the products that we sell in our stores, eliminating the middleman and obviously then cutting costs so we can sell for less while still maintaining our profit margin. This allows us to maintain our title of low price leader, as one of our slogan states. So the plants in Midwest Manufacturing's lineup consist of, and again, this might be where you have to refer back later, as Alyssa said, to this presentation, because there's a lot of them. They have countertops facilities. They make laminate, solid surface, and quartz countertops, pre-hung doors, both interior and exterior, an extrusion plant that makes maintenance-free decking, steel plants that produce panels, roofing, and siding, a large number of concrete product plants. They make things like patio pavers, retaining wall block, construction block, a large number of truss plants, board plants that add value such as cutting and wrapping boards, bagging plants that package things like concrete mix, and a nail plant that packages fasteners. That's over in Rochester, Minnesota, one of those. So let's talk about where you may fit into this picture. Literally, how can you become part of the team and get your photo in one of these future presentations? Across all divisions, we offer paid internships over the summer. A large number of those positions are geared towards getting you into management. You would learn to lead groups of people. You'd learn to set agendas for others with the goal of learning to forecast and then planning for the future while growing a big picture view of business. It could be in our store environment, could be the manufacturing side, or it could be in the distribution centers. On the corporate side, we have opportunities for internships there as well in fields like information systems, human resources, accounting, project managers with planning and construction, things like that. So there's different opportunities there as well. These internships generally consist of a 12-week period. Most of them are open to juniors and seniors within 3 semesters of graduation. Some of these positions, we would offer a generous monthly housing allowance as well if relocation is required. And we do tap into some markets. Iowa State, for instance, sends us interns every year. We get a lot from UW Superior for our transportation and logistics programs, things like that. If relocation is required, a housing allowance has applied there as well. Our main goal of the program is to focus on developing leadership skills. So interns are generally put into a particular department. You stay there and you learn from a team that you get to know over those 3 months that you're in that role. As an intern, what you could expect is to progress from learning team member tasks the first couple of weeks. You got to know what's going on. You then move into supervisorial type duties, finally working into managerial initiatives by the end of the program. Again, it's 12 weeks. It's not a lot of time to delve into a ton of things in depth, but we're certainly going to move you along so that you are running something by the time you're done with that program. What we do is we mix in day-to-day work experience with a number of structured projects that are designed to help direct your thought process. Some of those structured projects would be things like running a departmental meeting, material resource planning, SWOT analysis, your typical strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for the department you're in, things of that nature. Mentors within your department are there to help you as you move through the summer. And some of the topics that you could expect to explore would be safety, training, scheduling, and workload planning. One other thing I would mention here is that you're definitely going to gain insight as to what you would enjoy for a career path. Again, we have a lot, just talk about the distribution center side. I sit down with interns every year and do exit reviews with them. We have 20 plus a year, people that come from backgrounds like accounting or financials. We're going to put them in positions to manage people, manage teams, take a leadership role, be in charge of things, and they're going to learn pretty quickly whether or not that's something they want to do. I always tell them, managing people is not easy, but you do get compensated for it. You're getting involved in messy people's messy lives sometimes, handling issues for them. Is that something that you like to do, dealing with people, leading people, or do you want to be in a cubicle staring at those four walls with, an analyst type position, working with spreadsheets or financials? Those are decisions that, as you get into different things, you kind of see what you enjoy. So that's something that you get out of this internship as well. What are we looking for on your resume or degrees? Well, it's mainly business. Almost any business degree is going to fit for us. And that's going to be across all of those divisions that I talked about, the stores and distribution for sure. Something that's a little bit more specialized to the DCs. DCs being our distribution centers would be transportation and logistics or supply chain management. That would also fit for our merchandising team over at corporate, supply chain, purchasing, things of that nature. More geared towards the manufacturing side are engineering degrees, manufacturing engineering, industrial technology is a big one these days. Anything like that is going to fit there as well. Now this will apply not only to our internships, but our manager trainee program as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So because we do have people coming from all over the place, we've had someone from California before, we've had, again, a lot from Iowa State every year. We don't just drop you out there. We try to integrate you into the community. This is a photo from last year, since this year we couldn't do our typical trip to our semi-pro baseball team here in Eau Claire. COVID changed things a little bit, but we still did have a very successful internship program in 2020. We try to get those people involved in the community as well. So I'll transition a little bit to the manager trainee program. That would be the next step with us. And I would say maybe 15 to 20%, probably 20% of our interns move on at some point later in their educational career into our manager trainee program. Manager trainee program is meant for those who are looking to take on a position of leadership and responsibility within Menards or Midwest manufacturing. Again, we're trying to identify leaders and develop those leadership skills of those who are going to guide us into the future. So it is an entry-level position. It requires a bachelor's of science in a business-related field. And again, those on the Midwest side, those engineering degrees would apply as well. You will learn the technical side of our business, but to me, that's going to be less important than cultivating the leadership abilities that we keep talking about. Being able to build a consensus among a group so that all are pulling for a common goal. Handling team members so they feel good about performing difficult tasks for you. Those are some of the valuable qualities that translate across all departments and all divisions. And quite frankly, they translate across employers as well, and they define leaders. Give me a good manager and I'll teach them the technical side of the business. Those are some of the things that you can't really learn. We try to cultivate those, but what we're really looking for are those soft skills, those intrinsic values that set you apart. So more than anything, that's what we're looking for, looking to grow and cultivate with the MT program. For the MT program, you would get involved in things like workload planning, scheduling, merit reviews and disciplinary actions, interviewing, things like that. You're going to get into more of the management side of things as you go. We have a number of our senior managers that are on or have been on advisory boards at UW system schools, and these would be some of your mentors that you're learning from. One of the requirements of the MT program across any of our divisions is that you're willing to relocate when the right promotion opportunity presents itself. Again, you get to decide what that right opportunity is. but we are looking for relocation potentially. Doesn't mean it always happens. Sometimes we have opportunities open up where you start, whether that's at one of our stores or at one of our distribution facilities, and we'll talk about where those are located a little bit later. Again, we've had such a pattern of growth. We're always looking for good managers. On the distribution center and manufacturing side, pay for this entry level position is typically going to be $50,000 to $60,000 a year, depending on shift and hours worked, some of those type of things. The next step, if you show the aptitude for it, would be becoming an assistant department manager, running a department on a particular shift within that department, and there you could expect somewhere in the neighborhood of $60,000 to $80,000 a year. And the longer you're here, the more that's going to go up because of things like our profit sharing program that I talked about, or we'll talk about a little bit later. We'll get into profit sharing and how that has an effect on your yearly compensation as well. Beyond that, you become a department manager. You can make over $100,000 a year with us. And the reason I'm throwing this out there is just so that you realize some of those opportunities. We are looking for good people as we continue to add facilities, whether that's stores or manufacturing or distribution centers. And then obviously the corporate side needs people to support all that as well. So here we have Dan Templeton telling us what he thinks of the manager trainee program. He is a current MT with us. He's giving us the thumbs up. You're going to get into all kinds of different things. What would you do? What would you be working on as a team member or an MT or an intern at the distribution center? This is a piece of the business that you're not going to see a lot of. It's not out there in the public eye like the stores are. The stores are a little bit more self-explanatory. That's retail. Obviously, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things that people get into, even in retail. But this is a peek into the automation that we have at our distribution centers. And our manufacturing facilities are just as automated as well. So here you see a lot of robotic vehicles, driverless vehicles that take care of themselves, talk to each other. They interact with our forklift team members that are on forklifts. Here is something we created. No one else in the world is doing this. This is basically a goods to person. We're bringing non-conveyable stuff, harder to deal with, bulky, or in this case, paint pails, fragile, too heavy to ride a conveyor, things like that. We're bringing the product to team members with those automated vehicles and building pallets. We have a conveyable side of our business, a lot of robotics. You see, this is a robotic cell that has two robots, one right in front of us here, putting product onto a conveyor line, one that's far off to the left, you'll see at the end here, and then that middle robot is basically just moving empty pallets, takes care of slip sheets and things like that. So we do get into a lot of robotics and automation as well. We need good people that set up these procedures, processes. As a manager trainee, part of your deal would be to work on the best practices. What do we need to do to continue to be more efficient, to handle things at a lower cost, do things more safely, things like that. Here's more automation, eliminated team member stickering boxes. This is reading barcodes on vendor packaging and applying our shipping labels as we go. Even things like overseas containers, it's a very manual process to unload rather than unloading by hand each individual box. Here somebody's using a clamp truck, grabbing product off of the trailer, and instead of having pallets spread out all over the docks, we have a pallet dealer, just like a blackjack dealer at a casino, dishing out pallets. The team member scans the product, scans the barcode saying where this is going, move on to the next site. That pallet will then get taken to an individual store bay where one of those automated vehicles puts it either into a bay or even could put it right onto a trailer for us. Here's some product that is getting stocked. It's getting put away for future future picking. So a team member unloads a truck, feeds it into a system very similar to what you just saw, an infeed with a forklift. Then you see off on the right-hand side, there's a crane, an automated crane in a high-density aisle. ASRS would be the term for this, and industry standards, automated storage and retrieval system. We have warehouses that have 60,000 plus pallets in one warehouse. It is running to put that product away. And then when it is needed, an order comes out for it, the crane automatically picks it and kicks it out to our shipping system. So that's some of what you would be working with, some of what you would be handling on the distribution center side. Again, our manufacturing facilities are very similar, just as automated in most cases, in most positions. So a little peek behind the curtain into some of what we do here at Menards, other than the retail side, which a lot of you have already seen. I mentioned a time or two already that we promote from within. I can't stress enough how much this plays into our everyday life here within the corporation. Most of our senior management comes from junior management. Most of our junior management comes from within our supervisor ranks. We know what those team members can do for us. We see it on a daily basis. We do bring in people from the outside from time to time. It's just not usually at a senior management type level. Opportunities are there. Again, I mentioned earlier, this story is played out hundreds of times within our corporation. It's played out for all three of us that are in this room at Menards on this call right now. So this is a chart that kind of shows our distribution center side, very similar with, in fact, it'd be just about the same for our manufacturing side, and the store retail would look very similar as well. Maybe some of the titles change up at the top, but very similar type scenario. So there is opportunity once you start with us. This is not meant for detail. I put this location map on here. These are our stores just to kind of show where we're at. I said the Midwest. We're basically from Wyoming all the way out to West Virginia and the eastern side of Ohio, right on the border of Pennsylvania. We're down just north of Arkansas all the way up to International Falls on the Canadian border. Those are our store locations. Our manufacturing and distribution sites, I mentioned we have 17 of those. These would be where those are located. Again, throughout the Midwest, our four biggest large facilities would be Eau Claire, Shelby, which is down near Omaha, one near Chicago, and then one in Northwest Ohio. We have two more, one that will open up in Ohio next year, a smaller facility between, kind of in a triangle between Dayton, Cincinnati, and Columbus. And then in 2022, we're looking at putting something up in Northeast Ohio. So again, talking about growth, there's certainly opportunities there, regardless of what you want to do with us. If you're not comfortable jumping right into an internship, or you're not sure if that's right with you, you can always start with us part-time. The three of us here did that. You get to know us a little bit. You can pay off your student debt a little bit while you're working. You can do that at any store across the Midwest. We do have distribution and production facilities in Wisconsin, here in Eau Claire, since we're talking to the UW system. We also have one down in Iron Ridge, Wisconsin, which is near Beaver Dam and West Bend, if you wanted to get into warehouse and or production on the manufacturing side. There are part-time opportunities available out there as well. I'm going to throw our benefits up here. I'm not going to talk about all of these. I'm just going to talk about instant profit sharing. I mentioned that earlier. That is a great program. It's available. It's open and available to part-time or full-time team members. There's only two requirements. One is that your work unit has to be profitable for the year. That has generally been the case in all of our work units yearly, but we have goals. We got to hit those goals. Everyone plays a part in making those goals. Number two, basically you have to work 1,000 hours in a calendar year. So even if you're a part-time team member working 20 hours a week through the year, you would be eligible for profit sharing. What happens is your first year of eligibility, you get 2.5% of your W-2 earnings back in a lump sum check that following February. So yearly, you're going to get a check to do what you wish with it. It does not get invested back in the company. It is yours to spend on vacation, on student loans, put it in an investment. Yours to do what you wish with it. Second year of eligibility, it increases another 2.5% to 5%, and then it goes up 2.5% every year from there on until you plateau. After the 6th year, you're at 15%. Profit sharing keeps growing as your yearly compensation grows. So as your profit sharing grows and adds on to your previous year's earnings, you're consistently growing your next year's profit sharing, even if your yearly number would stay the same, your hourly number or your weekly compensation would stay the same. So that's a great program. You can certainly, by the time you've worked your way up and been here for a few years and you're adding 15%, there are a lot of people that are adding 5 digits to their salary every year. So these are certainly some benefits you can take a look at, but the biggest one would be our instant profit sharing program. So how do you become a part of this great team? Well, the easiest way is to go to menards.com/careers. It's at the bottom of our menards.com homepage. When you go to the careers page, you get these radio buttons. You could click in and get more information on any of these divisions: store, corp, distribution, or manufacturing. If you're looking for more info than what I've given you here, you can dig into it on this careers page. You can click on the apply now. You get a drop-down list of a bunch of different locations. Select the one that you're looking for. For instance, if you've just graduated or you're going to graduate and you say, well, I'm looking to get into Ohio. I want to apply for the MT, a manager trainee position out in Holiday City, Ohio. Find that on there and fill out the application. It'll get routed to the right person. If it doesn't, Hannah takes care of it here in Eau Claire and gets it to the right person. So visit that careers page, and that should give you everything you need to start with us. So I threw a lot at you. We're going to open it up to the Q&A session now. So Alyssa, I'm going to turn it back over to you. You should be seeing the questions as they come through. Certainly anything for Nick, anything for Hannah, anything revolving around corp, stores, Midwest manufacturing, distribution centers, we should be able to answer it. The logistics of how stuff works. Let us know.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. Great presentation and overview of Menards and sharing that information about the opportunities that are available. Students, if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I'll go ahead and share those then with Jeremy, Nick, and Hannah. So yes, please go ahead and if you have questions, put them in the chat. I see we've already got one, so we'll kick it off. So the question is how many interns do you hire each summer? Is it competitive to get into the internship program?
Internships, it is a bit competitive. We certainly interview for those positions and we select those we think are a good fit for us. Typically, our biggest distribution centers, we have about 20 to 25 interns per year. Our manufacturing facilities are going to be a bit more limited because each plant is a bit smaller. I would say our distribution facilities have departments within them that are about the size of our plants. And then obviously stores have manager trainees as well. So it depends on what you're looking to get into, if it's the retail side, if it's the manufacturing or distribution side. It can be a bit competitive, but we've got a lot of positions available. So there's room. If you're good, we'll find a home for you.
Okay, awesome. How can a student stand out as an applicant for the management trainee program if they haven't had previous experience at Menards?
Okay, well, it is an entry-level position, so it's, as far as experience goes, we look back at your resume as a whole, kind of like any employer. When you're looking to get into something, you're going to tell us about yourself, and whether that's extracurriculars, whether that's previous employment, even as at part-time positions. We're going to take a look at what you have done so far. You do not need Menard history with us to get into the manager trainee program. What you really need is a good background. We certainly take a look at what you've done during your educational process. Take a look at what your grade levels were. That's certainly not the end all be all, but all of that goes into what we look at. Hannah, you take a look at a lot of these resumes. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think you pretty much covered it.
Okay.
Okay. Next question. Do all people who start in the management trainee program live and work in Eau Claire? And when an opportunity arises, could they move elsewhere? For example, like West Virginia or St. Louis, et cetera.
They do not all start in Eau Claire. Eau Claire is home to, we have 2 distribution centers in Eau Claire, which is a bit different than most of our other sites. The distribution centers here employ about 1,300 people. So it is a big home of a number of our team members. Corporate is here as well. So there's a few thousand more people that work for Corp, but you do not have to start here in Eau Claire. Again, our distribution centers elsewhere, remotely throughout our network. They're all looking for people. Any of those 325 stores at any given time may be looking for manager trainees. Depends on what they have currently. Obviously they have people that rotate through and promote up, and then they're looking for new manager trainees as they go. Same thing with our manufacturing and distribution facilities. We have people in the program. From my perspective, I typically wouldn't want someone in the manager trainee program for more than, say, 2 years. 2 years would be a long time. At that point, you're either going to have proven to us that you're ready for more, or that maybe that's not the best fit for you. Not that we wouldn't have you with us. You could be in a supervisor role or something like that if the manager trainee program did not work out for you. But we certainly promote, from Eau Claire specifically, a lot of our manager trainees at the distribution centers have moved on to merchandising. A lot of our analyst and buyer positions are filled with manager trainees that work at the distribution centers, and then they're much more well-rounded to know what's going on on other sides of our business, fulfilling orders, what it takes, working with our vendors, things like that. So there's certainly a lot of stories of people starting one place and moving to others. We move people back and forth from the distribution side to the manufacturing side, or vice versa. A lot of MTs with the manufacturing side end up doing other things as well. Like we took an engineer from one of our concrete plants, and he now runs all of those automated guided vehicles that you saw in the videos, the AGVs. He's an automation engineer for the distribution side, running those, doing the maps, doing the engineering for that. So a lot of movement back and forth, and again, mainly up is what we're hoping for.
Sounds great. Okay, so here's a question related to the IT side of the house. Are there any internships more focused on computer science or data science type of IT positions?
There are currently some internships available. They have year-round internships in computer technician, mobile applications, and programmer. And then they also have summer internships for computer hardware support and Java developers.
We do have a lot of programmers that work for us. Each division, here on the distribution side, we have our own group of programmers. We don't buy a lot of canned software because we like the ability to customize. So a large contingent of IS, and not necessarily data science, but we do have, we have a lot of related fields. Certainly the IT side from the tech standpoint, a lot of hardware out here that is required to be kept up. So a lot of positions out there for those type of things as well. Again, manufacturing and distribution both. So yeah, and that side's a little different. Hannah talked about the corporate side. Some of their internships are a little different, not necessarily required to be a 12-week summer internship. You could do some year-round things in that regard on the IS side.
Okay. How can a team member work their way up to a corporate position is the only way through the manager trainee program?
Nick, you want to tackle that one?
No, that is not the only way. Certainly having that experience, from my story, like Jeremy said, I started part-time here at the distribution center and worked my way in through the internship and manager trainee program, and was fortunate enough to have opportunities at the corporate office. But there is a lot of team members that we bring both from our distribution center that have the skills in place, whether it's training throughout schooling or experience. I know in spending a lot of time with the stores, we had team members and managers in the stores that had worked their way up from part-time, just gaining experience, got into our merchandising department to help, whether it's designing the planograms on how things lay out on the shelves of our stores, the marketing side of things with the graphics and the images, the signage that we have within the stores. There's a lot of different opportunities, and having that experience in the stores has definitely opened that up for them without actually going through the manager trainee program. But it's kind of a fast track program. Identify talent and get them where they want to be, get them the experience hands-on. And like Jeremy said, working with them, teaching them the skills, how to lead the team and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you. Does Menards have an in-house marketing department? If so, how many people exist in that department, and where is the team located?
We do have a marketing department. It is housed here in Eau Claire over in the corporate division. It's fairly small. We're talking a few dozen people. I don't have the exact number on the top of my head, but that would be a little bit more competitive probably to get into, just because of the size and the number of people they have and what they do. But we do have that. Certainly can explore those opportunities. And again, a good place to go would be the careers page. Put something out there. This is what I'm interested in, and see where it goes. At some point or another, all of our divisions and departments are looking for good people.
The nice thing about our marketing team, we do a lot of that stuff again in-house. We're not paying outside companies for that. Whether it's the spots you hear on the radio, you'll see things pop up digitally online. Our team's working on that. The flyers that come out in the mail to invite guests into our stores, and menards.com and email blast. All that stuff is coordinated here out of Eau Claire with our marketing team.
Okay, the next comment was, I know that you mentioned natural gas versus diesel trucks. Does Menards do all of their own trucking?
We do not. We use a variety of methods to deliver to our stores. A number of our sites do have a private fleet. Eau Claire is one, and certainly the largest. That is where we have the compressed natural gas fueling station here in Eau Claire. Some of our partner carriers have compressed natural gas vehicles as well and purchase from us as well. But all of our vehicles in Eau Claire are CNG. And that is right now 32 vehicles with 3 more on the way, so 35 trucks. That's one way we deliver. We also have owner operators that provide a power unit and a driver, and then they typically deliver our trailers to the stores. So we're paying them for their truck and driver basically to deliver. We also do one-way freight using 4 hire carriers from each of our facilities to the stores. We only need so many backhauls per week. For instance, if we're talking covered van type freight, some of our stores may get 20 truckloads a week during a busier time of the year. We might need to bring back 3 backhauls a week of pallets and shipping totes and recyclables and defective merchandise, things like that, back to our distribution centers. So if it's a longer ways out, we don't want to make 20 round trips when I only really need to make 17. 3 of them are going to be round trip that have to bring things back, and the other 17 we would try to do for the cheapest way possible, which might be 4 hire carriers on a one-way basis. So a variety of programs. And again, a lot of our UW Superior students get into that. We've got a connection with that transportation and logistics program. We have a few people on our corporate side, well, our distribution center operations side have come from that program, as well as Amanda, our current manager of transportation, also came from that program up in Superior. So a lot of good talent comes out of that. So yeah, we get a lot of questions about transportation as well.
Thank you. Are there learning and professional development opportunities within Menards? Is professional development outsourced?
No, we typically do that in-house as well. Well, I shouldn't say typically, we do that in-house as well. And that is all levels of our company. We have things, professional development can mean a lot of different things. Our stores, for instance, management from stores make a trip back to the corporate facilities every year, or at least we have in the past, to learn new things, to grow and have meetings with our corporate leaders. To, we will also bring in keynote speakers that provide insights. And so a lot of the professional development is done here in Eau Claire at the corporate level. We do that for our distribution centers. We do that for the manufacturing facilities, and the stores certainly do that as well. So, we've had everybody from Bobby Knight to somebody from Walt Disney World, from their senior management team in here sharing their insights on, as keynote speakers on professional development. So, yeah, we have a robust program here, but it is done in-house. We will contract out some of that from time to time, but the plan is put together by our corporate team.
Awesome, thank you. So the next student noted, I went to the Menards website a few days ago and I saw there was a management internship in Eau Claire. Am I able to start a 12-week internship in spring 2021 if they graduate in May 2021?
We would certainly be willing to look at that. Give me those dates again, please, Alyssa. Let me.
Yeah, so
that.
a 12-week internship in spring of 2021 if they're graduating that semester in May 2021.
Yeah, we could certainly do that. One of the requirements of an internship is 32 plus hours a week. We're typically looking for 40 hours a week. So it depends a little bit on what you have for classes and things like that. You'd need to devote a fair amount of time to that program for those 12 weeks. So it depends a little bit on, how much schooling you have going on, if any, there It sounds like there would be some. So it may not be a fit, but it's a possibility.
Okay. Okay, so what Menards locations beyond Eau Claire have the highest number of employees?
That would be our regional distribution centers. We have 3 others of those besides Eau Claire. It's going to be bigger than any of the manufacturing or store facilities. Stores you can typically think of being between 200 to 250 team members. That's going to be pretty generic depending on the size of the store and the community they are servicing. Our Plano, Illinois facility, which is just west of Chicago in the suburbs there, they are going to have about 800 team members, 800 to 900 team members out there. And that would include both distribution and manufacturing facilities on the same site. Our Holiday City, Ohio facility is getting into that same neighborhood of team members. And then probably next would be Shelby, Iowa, which is back across the border from Omaha, back into Iowa, a bit towards Des Moines. They have close to 400 team members there with their manufacturing and distribution centers. So those would be the big ones.
Okay. Next question. Are there internships offered related to information systems? And if so, what do those look like?
There are. That kind of relates back to, they have some programming internships and some computer hardware support internships. We offer both the summer and the year round, and all of the 2021 summer internships and year round internships are posted on our Menards careers page. So you can browse through those and then click on job descriptions for each of them.
Great. What are the top skills you'd recommend for soon-to-be grads developing as they prepare to apply for Menards?
Probably the biggest one is not going to show up on a resume, and that is people skills. That's one of the big things we work with our interns on. Again, that's going to benefit you whether you choose to come back with us later in life as an MT, or come back to Menards maybe 20 years later after you've worked in other fields or with other employers. People skills are going to benefit you across any industry with any employer. Being able to communicate, being able to build a consensus and lead a team, those are things that are not as common as you might think. Especially in this age of devices versus people, face-to-face interaction, being able to do that, handle that, and get your point across and then get results. That's going to be big. It's not going to show up on a resume. So how do you get that across? Again, to me, the more you can show on your resume, these are the things I was involved in. These are the things that I did. During interviews, focus on, how you handled difficult situations, how you took care of problems, when you took charge in projects at school. Those kind of things are going to stand out to an employer more so even than your GPA or something like that.
Okay. So I know we've got a couple more questions in the chat, but I'm going to kind of use this question as a final wrap-up question for the career check today. So if you currently work for Menards, can you do an internship for the store you work at, or are internships only in Eau Claire?
We have internships available in most divisions of our company. So, in one thing that we have, with part-time students, which is very nice, is the ability, during the school year to work at one location and the ability to transfer to another location, maybe during the summer, and to be able to flip back and forth depending on where you're living and that kind of thing. But there is internship opportunities all over the place. If you are a current Menards team member, stop in and talk to your HR coordinator, whether it's a store location, distribution location, and they can definitely talk to you about those programs, how to get involved, and what that would look like for you. But our website has a lot of good information. If you are a current team member, stop in and talk to your HR to assist you with that.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy, Hannah, and Nick, for sharing your experiences today and answering questions. This has been a fantastic career track. A reminder, this career track was recorded, so if you missed pieces of it or want to go back and refer to anything that was mentioned in the track, it will be on the website, www.uwrf.edu/UWS career tracks. Also on the website, you'll be able to find upcoming career tracks and events. Next week, we hope you can join us again at on Wednesday at 2 p.m. UW Stout is hosting Phillips Medicize. Again, thank you so much to Menards for being a fabulous partner this week for our career track, and to the students that attended. I want to thank you as well, and I hope everybody has a great afternoon today.
Alyssa, thank you for doing a great job hosting, and we're glad you all could attend. Thank you much.
Thank you.